Here is a country of great contrast.
Great civilization of antiquity.
A foreign country a step away.
All right, we're back. It's the Casa de Cavazos. Justin in Chicago, Nathan in Westco, Texas, Ada in Harlingen, Texas, providing that Tejano connection to reality. How's it going? It's episode 50.
Oh my God, 50 episodes.
Can you believe that we made it to 50?
Yeah, we just kept going and we didn't stop. That's all it took.
I can't believe we made it to 1. I felt like this was like an Ada thing, like with the novel. Like, yeah, shit's not gonna happen.
Most of the shit that I say I'm going to do happens, sir.
Like what? Take shits?
Go to medical school, go to law school, run for Congress. I just have to start it. As long as it starts, it happens.
Well, how do you feel 50 episodes into the podcast? We've been doing this for about 6-ish months. Any thoughts? Favorite moments?
It feels like years have elapsed.
Favorite moments? Accusations of the lamp for the run.
The Austin trip?
Yeah. My daughter's asking what happened to Ada in the bathroom that morning to this day. So you gotta ask your aunt. I'm not gonna tell you what happened in there.
It's been fun. We talk a lot more. We're learning a lot about each other. Well, allegedly, we learned nothing about Nathan.
Nope, you learned nothing. Still to this day, you've learned nothing.
You never ask him anything. I'm the only one who ever asks, like, how's it going? What are you doing?
Also, this room, the pod room, is coming together. Yesterday, I got the couch, which is a sleeper sofa from Pottery Barn.
You're sitting on the couch right now.
I'm sitting on the couch. It was delivered yesterday morning. The guys who delivered it and set it up asked if it was for a podcast because the microphones are set up. And they asked if the podcast was about books because I have so many books. And I said, well, no, it's about politics and sports and tech, electric cars, different things. So then one of the guys said, oh, what do you think about the bombing of Iran?
What the hell?
I was like, I mean, as long as we don't go into war. So I think at this moment we're okay.
It's a great non-answer. It's very, very political of you.
You should have invited him to the pod. Should have done like a little impromptu 5-minute video session right there.
I mean, it was possible because apparently the team is from Dallas. And they have another delivery scheduled for tomorrow, and they were hoping they could like move up the delivery to today. Otherwise, they're just going to stay here all day. That was yesterday. They're going to stay here all day, waiting for the delivery tomorrow.
Wow.
But they had one the day before as well. So I don't know why they didn't ask, or the company didn't ask to try to bundle the deliveries together closer. So one day before, one the next day, and then one the next day.
So how was your trip, Justin? Heard you were out of town.
I was in Colorado Springs for a wedding celebration. It wasn't really the wedding because they'd already gotten married, but it was like a chill weekend where if folks wanted to come into town, there was going to be a barbecue and activities. It was so damn hot. It was that desert heat, and all the activities were outside. And a lot of places in Colorado don't have air conditioning either.
Like the local businesses and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of them don't. Like some places might have a window unit, but other than that, you might get a fan if you're lucky. California is like that too because the weather is nice so much of the year. It's cool enough that you usually don't need air conditioning, and if not, you get fans or you open a window. But it was pretty bad. Also, I was telling Ada this before the pod. Apparently, because of the altitude difference, when you have bags of chips and other stuff that are packed and manufactured closer to sea level and they get taken to places like Denver and Colorado Springs where that higher altitude is, the bags just puff up because the air pressure is different. And basically, my wife's friend, who's a nurse, was like, yeah, if you feel gassy or bloated, just let me know. I got things for that. Because I think the same thing happens to the air inside of your body when you go over there for an extended period of time.
That explains why some of those players play horrible in the altitude.
Yeah, they just need a fart.
So if you did it again, you would try to make sure you get an Airbnb with air conditioning?
Well, I don't know if that's even possible.
I'm sure it is.
Well, it might be more expensive. But what's really interesting about Colorado Springs is that a lot of people have these small cottages in their backyards, and either they use them as guest houses or they put them up on Airbnb. So multiple people that we met were staying in someone's backyard cottage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like the homeowners, they actually live on the property, and they also live without AC.
Yeah, it's just different because when you down here in South Texas, you can't live without AC.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of when I was in Philadelphia with Ada. Like as soon as the weather got okay, like everybody was driving around with their windows down. It's like that doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that heat in their car.
So speaking of places where it's been hot lately, one of those places is New York City. What did you think about Mamdani winning the Democratic primary for
Damn it,
NYC mayor?
I thought you were gonna say heat, and you're gonna talk about Iran. I missed that.
This would be a great episode for Brother Jared to contribute, but he is not currently on the pod because he actually lives in New York.
Yes. Well, I've been paying attention, and he calls himself a democratic socialist.
Like
He's
Bernie?
a young guy. I think so. He's a young guy.
Yeah, I think I
and
read some stuff about him. He's like he loves Bernie, so it kind of makes sense.
he's in his early 30s. Some of the policies he was talking about would be free childcare. I don't know if there's like limitations based on income, free buses, affordable housing.
Free buses for everyone?
Yeah.
He was also talking about subsidizing groceries and asking for minimum wage of $30 an hour.
Yeah, so they're talking about like starting some city grocery stores to try to bring in some more affordable grocery options.
Mm.
So things like that. So he was going against mainly Andrew Cuomo. There are other people in it too, but Andrew Cuomo is considered the establishment candidate, and towards the end, he got a bunch of establishment endorsements. And Mamdani won pretty easily, actually. I don't think we have the final numbers yet, but Cuomo conceded already.
But he's still
So-
going to run as an independent, right?
I think
As per Brother Jared.
he's not sure yet.
Oh, he's completely dropping out.
He hasn't said yet. I think he should drop out. I mean, I think if Mamdani beat you by a significant amount, I think that's the people speaking that they don't like you. So
Yeah. Well, people more and more, they don't want establishment folks in. I think sometimes that leads to unqualified people being put into office just because they're not establishment. Point in case a couple of people in the current administration. But now there's a hunger. People don't want to, just like the same old line of the Democratic Party just pointing at the Republicans and saying, like, we don't do that.
yeah.
Vote for us.
And I think that's really important this upcoming cycle. I think you need to have people who have vision, who have some fresh ideas, who can inspire. The establishment thing, I don't think is going to work in a lot of places. Interestingly, this ties into the campaign. The Republicans are already starting to use Mamdani as painting the Democrats as socialists. So Monica de la Cruz already posted that Mamdani is a Marxist. And I don't know why it's relevant to her district, Texas 15, but she posted that yesterday.
Mm.
What does Marxist even mean? I don't think it means what people think it is.
I was about to say, I was like, does she even know what that means?
I don't think so. They just call everyone that's a Democrat, a Marxist, a communist, radical.
I don't know. I don't know about that lady.
I also don't know what they all watch because they all watch similar things because they all say the same things. So there are a lot of posts that were, oh, New York City is going to become London. And I'm like, what?
Amazing.
London's great.
Yeah, but they were saying it in a negative form. I'm like, okay, what are you watching? Because London is amazing.
Yeah, you went there recently, right?
Yes, I went to London. And very soon after, I went to New York City, and I was like, what the fuck? New York City sucks compared to London. Like, I was disenchanted with New York City after that because London was so good.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's wrong with London?
I think they just watch things on TV where they just, like, create this narrative that everything outside is horrible. So I think there was a thing going on with immigrants. Weren't there, like, some protests and some situations with immigrants recently? And I think that right-wing media amplified that.
Oh, are you talking about like all the rapes and stuff that Elon was going crazy about when we first started the pod? They might be talking about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably that.
Yeah, people don't like having the refugees in there. And there's like a similar campaign of saying that this minority of criminals are representative of the whole of the people seeking asylum and going into that country.
I will say that just last summer, it was definitely way nicer than New York City. It was cleaner. I didn't smell any urine. I saw maybe one homeless person. The subways were insanely nice.
You mean the tube?
Yeah, I mean, it was so beautiful, so nice, not in disrepair anywhere. At least where I went.
Did you mind the gap?
Yes, I minded the gap. Also, like, you feel safer because there aren't guns all over the place. I noticed that the cops didn't even have guns, at least the ones that I saw, because they don't really need them most of the time. And if you look at the murder rates per capita, London's is like 1 per 100,000.
Oh, I thought you said they were number 1 in murder.
No, 1
Yeah,
per
I thought you were going to
100,000
say it was
people.
like 1 per person. Like for every person, there's a murder.
And New York City's is like 5 per 100,000. Although, like, our whole national average is 5 to 6, so it's not really worse than average nationally.
Yeah, I think there's some spots in like Missouri, Mississippi, or Alabama that are above that. They're a little bit higher.
That's actually what concerns me more than anything: the misinformation and the alternate reality. Like, how do you get through to people that live in that world?
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You just gotta wait.
Wait for what? It's just getting worse.
Yeah, it's like when they had this whole narrative on Fox News that Denmark sucked for some reason. They're trying to spin like free college and healthcare as some kind of bad thing. Like, oh, they're getting useless degrees over there and the government's paying for them.
But I think we've talked about it before. Like, it's kind of similar to certain religions. Like, they don't want you to go out and see, so they try to scare you from it. Because if you go out and see, you'll realize that they're not fully telling you the reality, and maybe you'll change your views once you get out into the world and realize, oh my God, Denmark is actually amazing.
Do you think that's part of why you feel like you don't fall into these traps a lot of the time is because you grew up in an isolationist religion that was very much like you don't hang out with the people outside of school, you don't do sports, you don't do other activities that force you to be away from the people in the congregation?
I mean, it could also just be that I've traveled a lot. So I moved to Philadelphia when I was 24.
It could also just be that some of this shit just sounds ridiculous. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to believe this. I think, I mean, it could play a part what you said about the way we grew up, but it's just some of the things you hear, just having common sense. Like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Let me look this up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Ada sometimes will say, oh, I don't want to travel to Mexico. It's too dangerous. And then I'll have like a friend on Instagram just show like all these beautiful pictures of their trip to Guanajuato, and it just looks like a great time.
I think that's different, though, because we actually have data to support that a lot of bad things happen in Mexico. Like, the actual Mexican people themselves have a lot of stories about disappearances.
Well, I guess if you're not out there like looking for drugs and just walking around the streets nearly blackout drunk.
Well, I mean, what else do you go to Mexico for, though? Why even go?
What? For the culture, for the food.
That is the culture. Somewhat.
So
Somewhat.
people need to, like, travel. I mean, maybe part of it, too, is that you can't afford it. Okay. But, like, people say things like, you should move to Chicago and then snicker. It's like, what does that mean? Because they think Chicago's like burning to the ground and you're going to get murdered immediately based on what they see on Fox or whatever right-wing media. This almost sounds like, remember when our brother David insulted us that we were immune? So like an insult, like, you should move to London. I'd be like, what? Yeah, great.
I'd be like, sure. Are you going to pay for my relocation?
He wanted to give us an insult. He looked in the dictionary and he quickly picked the word immune.
We were like, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I mean, if you think about it, that really is an insult now, though. They're like, you're vaccinated? Terrible.
I'm like, yes, you're immune to intelligence.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds like there's some positives. There's some things that this candidate in New York is making people excited about some of these things. I wonder how much he can deliver on. I feel like one of the biggest questions for me is some of the things like free buses.
Yeah.
Now, with all of the cuts from federal funding for public transportation, you know, the prices for the subway, MTA, have been going up over there, and prices for other districts. I think Chicago is in a similar boat where we're probably going to have to raise prices on our public transit because we're at a shortfall for that. So I don't know how you work out the budget so that you're actually making that free for people. Is it a need-based program? Or is it really free for everyone?
I'm
What are
not
the
really sure.
particulars of that plan?
I don't really know. Honestly, I haven't checked that much in depth because I don't live in New York City, even though people kept accusing me that I live there. Just because I was defending Mamdani.
Why does that need to be an accusation?
I don't know. It's an accusation to live in New York City or that you want to move to London. I don't
So
know.
now it's an
This is a
insult
weird
to live,
world.
to live in these great places. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I think I would welcome the possibility of them becoming like London. Like maybe he can make it better in some ways. London also has congestion pricing. So maybe the congestion pricing along with getting more people on free buses will make it even nicer and the roads less trafficked and just a cleaner city overall.
And who is the Republican candidate in all of this?
I think it was only one person. Curtis Sliwa or Sliwa. Yeah. Curtis Sliwa. I don't know how you say that name.
The old guy, 71 years old?
Yeah.
American talk show host. Never heard of this guy.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him. I mean, I would think that Mamdani is going to be the favorite to win it in November. And I would welcome seeing what he does. And like, hey, if he does a horrible job, okay. But I'd like to see something different and see if it makes it even better.
Mm-hmm. And Adams is running again?
Yes. As independent, right?
Yeah. A lot of questions there.
With what?
Well, I don't know. Everyone's got baggage. Everyone's got dirty laundry. Cuomo, Adams.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
It's
We'll
just
see
gonna
what
be
happens.
I mean, no one's perfect, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like there are a couple of things and mistakes you can make that probably should disqualify you from governing.
I mean, like starting an insurrection?
Yeah. Like taking bribes,
Yeah.
taking part in corruption.
Yeah. I mean, this was a referendum. And I think the Democrats need to look at the fact that they're going to have to produce candidates that are inspiring and aren't just same old corporate shills to win
Yeah.
elections.
Do you think this changes anything for Bernie?
In terms
As
of
far
what?
as him, I don't know. Does he have any desire to run for the presidency?
He's too
I don't
old.
think so.
I think he knows he's too old too.
Clearly, we have no problem electing old presidents. So I'm just
Yeah.
asking, do you think that he has the stamina to try another run at it?
I don't
I think he
so.
does.
I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
he's right now traveling the country. He came to McAllen. He's on some kind of tour against oligarchy.
I think he might run. I mean, this is kind of the type of activity that could signal potential run.
Yeah, but won't he be like 86 by the time it's the election year?
Yeah, I feel like the Democratic Party would be too burned by the last president being as old as he was to want to weather that heat again.
Yeah, I think basically we got screwed over because he didn't get the nomination before, and now it's too late.
Yeah. What I'm curious about is a lot of these establishment people, I don't know, they cast themselves as moderates for the most part, even if they lean left or they lean right. Do you think it's possible for a non-establishment person to be a moderate?
Yes, that would be me.
But how moderate are you? You're talking
I
about how
think it
great New York
depends.
is.
I mean, I think though, like you have to consider that we're a very diverse country. Like what is going to work in New York is not necessarily going to work down here. So I think that New York is ready for the possibility of someone who can make a difference and make it a little more like a London type or Paris type kind of city.
Mm-hmm.
But down here, like free buses, like how is that really going to do anything?
Yeah, the public transit situation is not great.
Yeah.
There's like that one line that goes between a couple cities in the valley, but it only runs like once every hour, and it's super out of the way. Like it's over by the TSTC campus in Harlingen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just the way this area is set up, though.
Yeah.
It's not very friendly to busing. You're going to get dropped off in the middle of some random city and
Yeah.
figure your way out from there.
Everything's like super far apart. So in a city like Harlingen, it's only got 70-some thousand people, and it takes you, what, like 20, 25 minutes to drive to the other end of the city?
Also,
Something like that.
part of it too is not being afraid to say what you want to say when it's the right thing to say and doing what you want without regard for corporate donors.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about Bernie Sanders?
Just anyone who is anti-establishment or outside of the establishment.
Okay. But to get back on Bernie, he was just on Rogan, and Rogan did ask him if he was going to run for president, FYI.
And what did he say?
He did not give a clear answer. He said he was 83 years old, and then when pressed, he was like, I don't know if they'd be too enthused about voting for somebody that's like 108, but never said. And then when he asked him again, he just kind of like transitioned to something else. So,
I mean, honestly, he'd probably win even at 86. The way things are
if you're
going.
going to run him, you just have to have a really good VP candidate, because then at that point, I think you're really just like, hey, like this guy could die.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what he's going around doing. He's going with progressives. He's going with AOC. Maybe he's running with AOC, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, at that point, like I said, you're going to insult my VP, and this is the plan. Be like, yes, this is who will be your president if I end up passing away when I'm 88 years old. Which, I mean, you pretty much have to, you'd have to answer that question, I imagine, if you're going to run at that age. And be like, yes, this is who will be in charge. Feels a good fit.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Bernie could live to 100. But at that age, you just don't know.
I remember in 2016, in that primary cycle, people saying that he was too old.
I mean, it's just the way he looks, though, but he's kind of looked the same. Like, he's looked really old and frail the whole time, but he clearly has a ton of energy. So, I mean, I don't think he's, I mean, I have to look back at it, but he sounds exactly the same as he sounded when he ran in 2016.
Yeah. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of fire.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just being around the youth, just being around people who also have that energy has kept him spry.
Apparently, though, back to Mamdani, the establishment is still not really getting behind him. They're kind of not wanting to be associated with him, which I think is actually stupid and shows no vision.
Yeah, because they're scared. They're gonna springboard this to be like that Democrats want to be socialist all the way through.
I mean, you just got to explain why it's a very specific situation for that specific city, and let's see how it works. Maybe they'll show that it works well, and maybe it'll work for other places and maybe larger areas.
Yeah. I mean, we got the first like progressive mayor in the country in Chicago, and of course, like not everyone's happy. I think it's very hard for a mayor to deliver on promises, but I don't think there are any major failures that have really come up that have affected me personally or a lot of the people that I know. I don't know. I just think being a mayor is hard. Enforcing change in large cities is difficult too, and you're only going to do so good a job at a certain point. But, you know, Chicago's not on fire.
That's not what they say on Fox News, sir.
We don't have like a gigantic corruption scandal or anything.
Yeah.
As of right now.
But I think you could play it both ways. And as an establishment Dem, you could have said, Mamdani has won the primary. The people have spoken. I fully support him to improve New York City if he's elected. And this is the great thing about our party. We welcome a lot of different perspectives that are within the Democratic tent. You don't have to like be scared of everything. Like someone pointed out, they're going to call every liberal a socialist, a communist, and a Marxist.
Yeah, no matter how left or how moderate you are.
So getting scared away from him is not necessarily going to help you.
Yeah, they need to understand at this point, like that's their playbook. They're going to make everything seem extreme, and you're just going to have to find a way to fight against that.
No, we need to make a new party.
Yeah,
with blackjack and hookers.
No, not that. I don't know why I agreed with that. I didn't think you were going that route, but okay, we're there. But I mean, just at some point, they just have to be like, we already know the playbook. I mean, you can say whatever you want. Like, you're going to have to just hit back with facts, just like how Kamala was saying that Trump was going to get us into more wars, which is totally possible now, that he was going to take away Medicaid and stuff. Like, all things they said that are happening.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they need to be fighting with. Stop worrying about what the Republicans call them, because we know the Republicans are lying anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Kamala got, like, whooped anyways. She was pretty close.
For basically not having an entire campaign cycle.
A shortened campaign season.
She was obliterated, just like Iran.
Okay.
I mean, still no one knows what actually happened in Iran. Like, it's unclear how many capabilities they still have for nuclear weapons.
I was talking to someone, so some of the folks that we were with in Colorado were our current or former military, and they have like one part of the family that's like super Trump, super conservative, and they're like, what do you think's going on with Iran? Like, why do you think we did that with the bombs? I thought Trump wanted peace. Is there a chance that, that they'll send you out there? And he's like, it's not zero. You voted for him.
Yeah.
But there are people starting to be like, this doesn't make sense. It's because they've been lying to you this whole time.
Well, it doesn't make sense, but it's also crazy how like NATO just decided to bend the knee to him for whatever reason.
Are they bending the knee, or they're just doing the strategy of just basically massage Trump's ego?
I mean, it's hard to say. It's just very, I don't know.
Mean, they called him Daddy Trump. That just sounds like
Exactly.
massaging of the ego.
Yeah, of course, but why would you even do that? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you do what you can. Like when you have a child and you know that they want to be called Penguin or whatever, you're like, okay, little penguin. like just come over here. Like you just got to do whatever the little child wants as far as reasonable things that'll make them do what you want them to do.
Wait, did your daughter ever want to be called the little penguin?
No, I just made that up.
Isn't that like a wine? The little penguin wine, remember that?
That is true.
Well, anyway, Hegseth had his press conference this morning. Apparently, there was no new information, even though they claimed that it was going to be very informative and it would substantiate their original claim. But apparently, it didn't. It's like the same thing. We just don't know yet the extent of the damage.
This whole administration is going to be like that. It's like a propaganda administration. Like today, there was a post. A local news network posted that I think it was the FDA is going to put a warning on the COVID vaccine about a small risk of myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart. And so apparently they have exaggerated this risk. But not all, but most of the people in the comments were like, oh, it wasn't a conspiracy. I knew it. Clot shot and all that. And I'm like, this is exactly the problem with this administration.
But they had already talked about this when the vaccine first came out. Like, this is not new information.
And actually, the risk of myocarditis is really not significant at this point.
Yeah, it wasn't significant then.
But most of the people in the comments were like vindicated per them. I'm like, so you're vindicated because the conspiracy theorists are running the show now and they're misinterpreting data to support their conspiracy theories?
Well, I'm telling you, these people that are anti-vax were making it seem like eventually we're just going to all drop dead. And I'm like, is that really what you want? Like, because at that point, you're not going to be able to tell anybody you were right, because all your friends and stuff that got the vaccination would be dead. And they're like, that's not what I'm saying. I go, it kind of is what you're saying. Like, you want to be right that it's a horrible thing that's killing all these people, and don't be surprised that years later, like, all the people that got the vaccine just dropped dead all of a sudden.
I mean, that may actually be what they want, because Peter Thiel today was quoted as, when asked if he wants the human race to survive, he was like, and then the New York Times reporter was like, you want to survive, right? And he's like, yeah, I think.
You're not sure if you want the human race to survive?
Yeah.
What the hell?
So, yeah, I mean, like, saying, like, vindicated? I mean, they'd feel vindicated if a bunch of people started getting really sick that took the vaccine, because no matter what the cause is, they would attribute it to the vaccine. Like, you see, I told you, it was that vaccine.
But again, it's super illogical when you're, like, using a circular logic. Like, RFK and a bunch of conspiracy theorists are misinterpreting things or exaggerating things, and then you feel like now you're right. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way, dude.
It does. Remember, Trump was always right. He even has hats.
I will say that the vaccine thing is to the point where the American Academy of Pediatrics said they're basically not going to listen to the ACIP. They basically said they're going to do their own vaccine schedule. That's crazy. That's unprecedented that they felt they had to take that move. And they also said they're not going to be involved with the ACIP.
What's the ACIP?
It's that panel that has to do with vaccinations, like the vaccination schedules and the vaccine approvals. The one that RFK fired everyone, the 17 people, and then he put Robert Malone on it.
Oh, so the new people are the ones putting these recommendations. Yeah, of course they're going to ignore it. If you're a doctor, you went to medical school, you know what needs to be done. Why would you just listen to just random people?
Ada, how long do you think it'll be before you start seeing measles cases in your medical practice?
I don't know, because it's a little bit random where you have the outbreaks. I mean, it could be like 2 years or so. I don't know. I can't really say.
Could be less. I mean, it started in Texas.
How do you
Yeah.
get measles exactly?
It's respiratory transmission. So in the air, respiratory particles that are breathed out. Yeah, so the official post from CBS 4 News was FDA requires updated warning about rare heart risk with COVID shots. And people were like, I told y'all not to take the shot, but did y'all listen? No.
Yeah, but rare. Do people know what rare means?
I don't believe so in some situations. Also, someone said that they got a cardiac arrest after they got their shot.
What?
I don't know. That's
Their
what they
heart
said.
stopped?
That's what they're saying. I don't know.
I've never heard of that. We'll have to look into it. Once again, with all these comments, you never know if they're real people.
Yeah.
You never know.
Speaking of medical stuff, do you want to talk about Achilles tendon tears and the NBA Finals?
No.
That sucked. We can talk about Tyrese first. Yeah, just Tyrese. Just kind of being the heart and soul of this Indiana team, even though he wasn't necessarily their best player on the stat sheet every night. He was just, I don't know, a guy that you want to root for a lot of the time. And then that video was so clear. You could see it snap in his sock.
But before that, at the beginning of Game 7, it looked like he was going to have an all-time night. He was hitting threes. He looked really good. And then, I don't know, he just does
That
this
was
very
exactly like the
aggressive move.
KD thing. Like
Yeah.
he made those 3 threes, got a little bit of confidence, and as soon as he put pressure on it, it just tore.
Yeah. Although I think Halliburton was moving a lot more than KD was. Like, KD was barely moving and just shooting threes. And then the one time he tried to move, it snapped.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you could tell like the level of intensity was very high to start that game.
Yeah.
Like he really pushed off that foot. Like he was really trying to do something. So
Yeah.
he needed to dial it back a little bit. He must have felt good to have tried as hard as he did. But it's kind of like the exact same way he strained it. Like when he strained it, if you pay attention, like if you do a side by side, like he was really low. Like his body was like almost freaking parallel with the floor. And then that's when he first strained the calf. Almost the same thing. Like he really gets, I don't know how his body gets in that position, but it's almost exactly the same.
Yeah, it's an extreme stretch. It's a lot of pressure on that part of the body. I feel like the calf strain is an injury that in the regular season takes much longer to come back from. You probably would play it safe and not be on it. But it's the finals. He had this long post surgery about how much it sucked, but how he has faith in God and he did it for his brothers and give him the chance, like he would make the decision to play again.
I mean, it's unfortunate. I think it's just that adrenaline got the best of him. Felt better than the calf actually was,
Yeah.
and ended up costing him. Yeah, I think he needed to kind of play it a little bit more reserved, be more of a distributor, not try to get in the paint. Probably could have survived the game, I think, but it's hard. I mean, you want to win. You're not going to really dial back.
Well, that's 3 players in this year's playoffs. Dame Lillard, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, all with Achilles tears. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has said that they're taking this rash of Achilles tears seriously and that they'll be looking into it. I'm not sure what they'll find, if there's something they have to talk about with training, maybe with the schedule.
Is it
I
that
think
or
I
the
think
game?
I think it's kind of just the shoes, to be honest. Everybody's gone to these low top shoes where you lose the support. Like, remember Kobe, as soon as he tore his, like he was like, no, I'm not wearing these low tops anymore. He brought out that shoe that's almost like a boot. Like, you need to have that support down there. Like, Kobe started that fad, I think, because soccer players, like, hey, soccer players play with low cut shoes. Why can't we?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've seen these injuries happen more often.
Yeah,
I
a
mean,
lot
I'm not
more rolled
100% sure
ankles
that's
too.
But I think they need to go back to those shoes, the high tops, or at least the mid. Like, protect your ankles a little bit more.
Yeah, because soccer players, they don't necessarily get that same verticality just in volume. Like, you're not jumping as much in soccer. You don't have that risk, all that something can go wrong. There are so many rolled ankles this playoffs. Do you think that a high top shoe would help with that?
For ankles, yes. Like with the low top shoe, your ankle pretty much goes all the way down. Like there's nothing to brace it.
I think part of it too is the intensity of the game these days. Like the amount of movement and athleticism that's required to get space. Like the beginning of that game was frenetic. Game 7.
Yeah, that's how Indiana moves around. It's actually really fun to watch a team like Indiana versus, say, like the LeBron Doncic Lakers, where people are just kind of standing around. They're moving kind of slow.
Yeah,
And Indiana's just like all over the place.
but the standing around team, did they have any Achilles tears this year?
Well, I don't think the NBA will find anything. I think just what's going to happen is these teams are going to take calf strains very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to sit out, like, let's say you have to sit out 3-4 weeks minimum, and then we'll reevaluate.
Yeah.
Like, if you have any pain, you're not going to play.
How long is the recovery supposed to be from Achilles surgery?
It's usually 6 months to a year to get back to playing.
And I think for basketball, I guess they're starting to see it might take longer. Because, I mean, guys from football have come back right away. But like I said, they're not doing the jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Or doing the amount of, like, cutting. Like, football, even if you're, like, a running back, like, I mean, you might do 1-2 cuts and that's it. Like, you're free. You're not going to be doing constant cuts, hard stops, jumping, all those kind of things. So,
That being said, it's amazing that the players can come back from Achilles tears so well nowadays with our current medical technology. Because remember in the past, we were pretty much done.
well, actually, they're not coming back very well. Kobe didn't. Another guy that was a really good role player, Wesley Matthews. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Yeah.
When he came back from, he wasn't the same. He lost a step, and for him, he had carved out like that 3-and-D thing. Like his D suffered, so he wasn't in the league that much longer.
What about KD, though?
Durant is hard to say. So Durant was scheduled to come back that year for the Nets, but COVID happened, and he decided to stay out. So I looked that up after we talked about it, where it's like, no, it didn't take him 552 days to recover. He just decided to not come back because of COVID. So we don't know how he would have come back if he would have come back right at that time, which I think was around the playoffs of that year for the Nets, of the bubble. So, I mean, we don't really have too much to go on. I mean, Dominique Wilkins, I think in the late 80s or early 90s, came back really solid. But for the most part, it sounds like most of these guys lose a step. So these two players specifically, Tatum and Halliburton, is going to be where we see, like, if they're able to come back the same, how long they stay out. Dame's hard to say because he's older.
Yeah.
And I think Dame was kind of at risk because he had been out all that time because of the clot. And you come back to playoff intensity, which is completely different.
Yeah. It's
So,
a
we'll see.
tough injury. I mean, another one was Clay too, but Clay also had the ACL.
Yeah, Clay's wasn't an Achilles initially. He had the ACL, and then during rehab, he tore his Achilles. So, I mean, he never came back the same. But I mean, there was so many injuries, such a long layoff. So
Yeah, it's really hard to tell with him. I was
If they
listening
could-
to, I think it was like the Simmons podcast with Zach Lowe, where basically they were talking about how the Achilles, it used to be like an old man injury. Like if
Yeah.
you were an older player, it was more likely to happen to you for putting that load. You never saw the younger players have it. But these guys, like Tatum and Halliburton, like 25, 26, 27,
yeah.
you know, maybe it happens to Ant next year.
Oh, no. Don't say that. You're jinxing Ant.
Ant, do you remember how many times Ant rolled his ankle in that that Lakers series?
He kept rolling his
Just
ankle
don't
during the
jinx him, sir.
playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, that's just repeated stress on the same area.
Back to the Game 7, though. Indy still made it interesting without Halliburton.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
their
they
other
had
half-
really strong bench lineups with Halliburton off the floor a lot of the series. I just think what ended up happening was that Dort was able to spend more time on team defense and helping out other people instead of just being glued to Halliburton.
I also feel like Carlisle made a mistake where he kind of just felt like, okay, McConnell's scoring enough. I felt like Siakam needed to come back in. I don't.
Yes.
It's one of those things like, what are you saving him for? Like, there's not another game.
Yeah.
Yes, he screwed
Like,
up again.
You go all out, try to win it.
Yeah, he took
It-
Siakam out way too long. And during that time period, that's when OKC started getting their lead.
I don't know.
Yeah, and
Maybe
I
he
hate-
was shell shocked. Maybe he was still feeling the pain of losing Tyrese.
No, I mean, at that
What?
point, you already know. I mean, everybody knew. Like, at that point, Siakam was probably going to play almost the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't do that. Like, he went with his regular rotations. So I felt kind of annoyed hearing the commentary say, like, oh, like, Indiana has done this before. Like, if Halliburton was out here, it's exactly where they want to be. I was like, no, they wouldn't. Even with Halliburton, you wouldn't want to be down 15 in Game 7 in the fourth
No.
quarter.
Yeah.
I was like,
course
what are you
not.
guys trying to do? Like, I understand that you're trying to keep interest in the game, but that wasn't the thing to say at the time. Like, you need to, like, question why Siakam rested so long.
Yeah. Even then, there's no guarantee, Halliburton or not, that Indy will be able to pull this out. I mean, at the end of the day, it's this war of attrition against OKC's great defense, all of that energy that they've had, their team basketball. They're able to play well from not really shooting well from three pretty much the entire series.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But a lot of it was the defense. They're always active. They're always making the right adjustments, the right rotations, and they're doing the work in the paint and in the mid-range.
Well, it was a really good playoffs, even though it would have been even better if Halliburton had not gotten injured in Game 7.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm pretty confident if Halliburton hadn't gone down, we at least would have gone down like to the wire Game 7.
Yeah.
It would have been an intense last few minutes, not wondering like, oh, can Indiana actually stay in the game? I think it would have gone down to like maybe not the last shot, but there probably would have been like 2 minutes left of intense basketball.
Yeah. But what we got was OKC's first title.
Yeah.
Maybe the first for this group of players. A lot of them are still super young. You know, like what does Chet look like in 2 years? What does Jalen Williams look like in 2 years?
I think they
Shay's
probably
gonna
win.
get better. He's about to hit his prime.
Mm-hmm.
I think they probably win next year again.
Yeah, barring injuries, they should be heavy favorite. I mean, they won 68 games and Chet missed 50 games. You know how ridiculous that is? Like, starter.
Mm-hmm. He's been huge for them, too.
I mean, who would really challenge them in the West? Would it be the KD Rockets?
The KD Rockets should be the team that can challenge them. That trade actually doesn't really hurt them. When I looked at the contracts and when we were talking about it last time, I was like, this is kind of the trade that makes sense. I just didn't know if they would take it or if that's what they offered. And it's exactly what they said. Jalen Green was going to be gone.
Yeah.
Like, he played his way out of that team with the playoff performance.
That's a good-looking team. I mean, from the starters to the role players, you got KD, you got that veteran championship experience, you have his scoring, you have his length, you have Amen Thompson, who's only going to get better, super athletic. You have Fred VanVleet also with championship experience.
This was a really good trade for the Rockets, I think. They only gave up one first-round pick and all those second-round picks, but this gives them a short window to get something done. And Cody Durant's still good enough to do it. Just as long as they don't get hurt, I mean, they should be in the thick of it.
Yeah. I mean, he was scoring pretty okay when he was playing this year with Phoenix. I mean, the biggest problem with that team was their defense, which is not a problem that Houston has, even losing those players.
He wasn't scoring just pretty okay. He's still elite at that level.
Yeah.
Everyone's been saying that KD's still really good.
Yeah,
so
I think his true shooting's still like over 64, 65%.
Houston's gonna be
so
good. I'm really sad he didn't go to San Antonio.
It's okay. San Antonio will have their day.
They're still, you can still hold that hope. Giannis is still out there.
It kind of seems like San Antonio is just going to stick with the young guys.
Well, they got a really good player in the draft yesterday, so
yeah.
Assuming Wemby can come back, no setbacks, I mean, you're set up to.
I mean, he was practicing in the Shaolin Temple.
I think he's okay.
Starting to make a move up that west, finally.
Yeah, I mean, Harper's a promising rookie. They got 2 rookies of the year. You know, it's maybe it feels like an afterthought, but they still have De'Aaron Fox.
I don't feel like that's an afterthought. It's just had that injury. He'll be back.
I don't know. I feel like I've been hearing about the San Antonio stuff, and no one is really mentioning Fox as part of the conversation. They still have Sohan, who's just getting better and better, who's a really strong defender when he's healthy.
Well, I think as the season gets closer and once you see them together actually having a training camp all together, then you'll start to see the excitement of that team.
Yeah, I think they're going to be like the next Indiana.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Torn Achilles?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Speaking of NBA Finals real quick, Alex Caruso wins another championship. And he said he got a real one this time.
The bubble doesn't count. Hey, he's catching up to LeBron.
Joking.
I think he was just joking because he's heard all that stuff. He's caught the heat. That's not a real tie. It's like, hey, you can't talk shit about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, OKC, congrats to the team. They put together an awesome season, awesome set of series. That Denver OKC series was a good one too. Earlier in the playoffs, in that second round, that was really nice. The only thing I wish was different is that I don't know, Shea were more emotional. Because like even when he wins, like he just has this dead face, and you know how sometimes when they're cutting to commercial during the playoffs, they'll show like the players like screaming like yeah. like the Obi Toppin face or the Tyrese face. But they'll find pictures of like Chet with his mouth open, Jalen Williams. But like the only picture they can find of Shea is him smiling, because normally his face is just super dead.
Let him. That's like Kawhi.
It's a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
I mean, how much did Kawhi celebrate when he made that game winner against the Sixers?
Yeah, a lot.
He was screaming.
Yeah, he was screaming.
I
from
watched the
ground.
video because I was comparing it to the Tyrese shot, the bounce.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's the only way you would get the Shea reaction. You have to be like Game 7 finals, and he'd be like, it was like Duncan, remember? Duncan wouldn't really show any emotion.
Yeah. Except when he got foul calls. He'd be like,
yeah, but that was about it. It was like surprise, like, oh, I fouled, okay.
yeah, that's what Ginobili's for.
He'd sometimes show emotion. That's not true.
Yeah. Well, I'm emotionally spent, so this seems as good time as any.
Yeah, it's just exhausting to talk about Tyrese again. That was so sad.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next year. Got to wait all summer for NBA basketball to start up again. NBA draft is going on right now. Maybe we'll catch you at a game at some point. Or you can catch us online on all the places at casadecavasos.com. Email us at casadecavasospod@gmail.com. You can also go over and send us some other stuff. Follow us on Blue Sky. Follow us on Instagram. We're on the podcast places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next
Goodbye.
time.
See you later.